Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Union. It's time to talk. This episode is sponsored by TJ's Barbershop and also brought to you by More Than a Job, home of the Cross the Line podcast. Before I introduce everybody here sitting at the table, I want to take the time to just let everyone know this is a platform that was built for the people. It's not to point any fingers. It's to educate and be educated also, and also a voice for the voiceless. So there is no finger pointing, no self-deflecting, anything like this. This is about just educating our people and informing them on the rights and everything that we need to know in these trying times that we have right now. So starting out, let me introduce the people sitting here at the table. First, to my left, Ms. Tamika Wilson. She's a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel whose parents, Sergeant First Class retired Leon and Peggy Wilson, were born in Santuck and Carlisle. She is a 1992 graduate of Union High School and 97 Clemson University graduate. She has a master's in engineering management from Missouri University of Science and Technology. She retired in 2018 and lives in Santuck. She is the Union County Democratic Party chair, active member of Eta Sigma Greenville Alumni Chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority, and volunteers as a leader or chair for several and other local organizations to help and inform residents of Union County, South Carolina. To my left also I have native and resident of Union, Ms. Anastasia Booker, a USC Upstate alumni, currently employed with Union County Schools as the secretary at the Transportation Office, previously employed with DSS as a foster care caseworker. No political ties, no business entrepreneur background, just a regular working citizen of Union want to see our community grow. To my right, at the end of the table, I have Mr. Alexander Tucker, a Union County, South Carolina native. Recently moved back home to Union to give back to his community through means of real estate and entrepreneurship. Alexander is a new upcoming generation of real estate agents. If you have any real estate needs, whether buying or selling homes in Union, this is your guy. Alexander is also the owner of Essence Alteration in Union County. Number of alterations and tailoring businesses. Alex's whole mission while here in Union is to leave the city and county in better shape than he found it. And last but not least, to my right, the man who helped put this thing together, Mr. TJ Booker, owner of TJ's Barbershop. TJ graduated from Spartanburg Technical College because he was always a hands-on guy. He's been a minister since 2000 and now currently is a minister of Lakeside Church of Christ. He's been active in the community, mentoring the youth through our Union County schools since 2002. He leads the forefront in forming a team to start Union County Little League, which is the world-renowned baseball softball program. But above all, he's a loving husband, father, uncle, brother, cousin, and a friend. So this is the panel for the Union County It's Time to Talk. So how's everybody doing?
Good.
So
good.
I appreciate everybody taking time. I know, like I said, this is trying times, a lot going on in our community. So I really appreciate you, TJ, for helping put this thing together. When you pitched me the idea, I told you it sounded like a great idea, and I would honor for you to even consider me for putting this thing together. So I want to thank you personally for having me on your platform. So starting out, I want to give you the first question. Why was it important for you to put this panel together?
Well, the reason why this panel was put together, you meaning with the different people with different backgrounds, because I've been watching and I tried to make it diverse about what's going on, what people do. As Tamika, she's into the Democratic Party, she's out getting people a vote. I watched that, and as far as my wife, she actually came up with the name. Union It's Time We Talk, and believe it or not, she's probably my drive to about anything I do. So that's the reason why I got her here, and plus she keeps me humble, and she knows from where she coming from, where she grew up at. She kind of can speak for that set of people. And Alex, up and coming, he's just my guy. I've been knowing Alex since he been kicking football in junior high. So he's just my guy. And as far as you, I've been watching you since you've been coming in here doing these podcasts, and I told you you have a great voice. And we needed that. And the reason why we put this together, because I kind of want to go to the radio. I'm an old school guy. I grew up listening to our local radio station my whole life. And I was telling my wife about it. We need to get Carlos on the radio, and she was like, TJ, nobody, you don't listen to the radio no more, you know? She's like, they're not gonna listen to the radio, you need a podcast. So I said, well, we'll take this podcast to try to inform our citizens, especially the younger generation, on what we have going on in a positive light. Instead of just having a podcast, but we throwing negative stuff. We don't want that because people from outside see that and say, well, I want to come to Union for with all that they got going on. So we are the voice of the good. You know, we are the voice of trying to bring change. So that's why we put this together. You know, and being a minister, you know, my job is to go out and serve the community. So that's what we're here to do.
Absolutely.
We're trying to get people heaven, not hell. You know.
And allow me to say, over the next 6 weeks, what we'll be doing also, like I said, we'll be educating and informing people. But we'll also have some people that are in our community running for office, and we'll be covering a lot of different topics. So just bear with us over the next course of these next 6 weeks. Some things may change, but as far as that goes, that'll be what we'll be covering. Anything that's involving the community, so feel free to comment on the Union It's Time We Talk page, leave any kind of comments, questions that you have, and we'll do our best to get them answered. But starting off, I want to start off with Ms. Tamika, and I'll go around the table. The first question I want to know that I have for everybody is, when you think of Union County, a lot of people have this, some people have a great perception, some people have a negative perception. What is your perception when you look at Union, growing up here, being from here, what is your perception of Union County?
So when I think about Union County, I think of home. So all of my experiences, everything that I experienced in Union County, that are really, really good memories, are tied to Carlisle and Santa. My mom is from Carlisle, my dad is from Santa, and I was blessed to be able to be exposed to my great-grandparents. I know a lot of folks don't maybe have that. And so my memories are great memories of growing up and being able to play outside, because it was a community of people that were looking out for you and raising you, essentially. So it wasn't just your biological family, it was everybody in the community. And I was probably related to most of them anyway. But, you know, just the good food. I remember dancing with my cousins, riding bikes, climbing trees. I mean, I look cute right now, but I was a tomboy back then. So, you know, I did all of those things. And I know being in the country and having that exposure in Union County shaped the type of person that I was. You know, you grew up with a respect for family, a respect for elders. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You went to school, you did the things you're supposed to do. It was expected. So that's all the things that I took away, and I know I ultimately left with my parents. I wasn't born here, I was born in Germany, my dad's army. But all of that, you know, they got that from their great-grandparents, and it just, you know, they poured it into me. So I think that's why I love Union County, and that's why I came back.
For me, of course you think of family, because, you know, I mean, your family is probably down the street, or like I know a lot of families, they live in the same neighborhoods right beside each other. So you have family, and me being a mother, that's important to me, for my kids to grow up with their family. I grew up with family. Also, my first year of college, I went to Columbia. I went to Benedict College for a year. I enjoyed it. You know, there was nothing negative about it. But what I noticed, just from Union to Columbia, there was a different pace of life. You know, there was a faster life. It was a little louder. It was a little more going on. When I came back home, it's like, okay, for me, it's peace. It's a little more peaceful. It's a little more slower. Some people love the fast life, and then there are some who would rather have that slow, peaceful life. Slow as far as business-wise, no, you know, that puts, you know, a little thin in it. But as far as violence, traffic, you know, all those things, you know, you don't have to sit, like, you can go on lunch and be back. You know, you don't have to sit there in line. You don't have to leave to go to work an hour earlier if you work nearby. And then also, for me, it's home and it's peace. So when I want to go out and I want to extend and go to those places, I can because we're near so many things. So it's just peace to me and it's family.
Go ahead, Alex.
Hey guys, first and foremost, this is my home here, right? Union made me the man that I am today. From growing up on Foster Street, Mattville Street, living in Chambertown, as they say, very humble beginnings in Union, but you know what Union taught me? Union taught me how to compete. Union taught me to deal with adversity and push through, but ultimately Union was a really big support system for me, being raised by a lot of different community leaders in town. Really, I just took all the positives and left the negatives. There's so many positives in Union. When I think of Union, I think of the land of opportunity, right? People say Union is a retirement type town. Please, let it be that. Let it be that. For us millennials, that is just a breeding opportunity to birth something, coming back is, you really have no resistance to start what you want here. I don't know too much red tape that we got to go through to launch something. Like, how easy was it for us to come together, like-minded people, and say, hey, let's talk about Union, let's do this podcast. And it's often better to converse with people, like-minded people, and you have those people here in Union. I mean, that's 5 cents at this table right now, and that's probably 200, 300 watching this right now. Guys, like, it's a place for us to network. We have our own base here, and me and you was talking about earlier, the location. Like, I'm not distracted here in Union. It's limited distractions. You can really sit here and think, and then go to these major cities and do what you got to do, and you can do it well. So that's why I'm back here, Union, because it's no distractions. Yeah.
I'm kind of a country boy too. I like going out there shooting a deer, main thing. You take away hunting and fishing. I couldn't live in New York, unless I was in the country part of New York. That's what I love. Growing up in the country, grandma's apple pie, and my son himself, TJ, by me telling him the ties that I have with my grandmother, he saw that and he see the passion that I had for my mother, my grandmother, my grandfather, and it makes him spend a lot of time with his grandmother. And if we live places where you couldn't do that, that would be terrible. And then too, the fact that I'm able to, if my kid's sick, I can call mom and say, Mom, I need you to watch kid. He got kicked out of daycare because he got a fever. It's there. There's just so many things you can do here in Union. And like you said, just picking out of what you said, hey, if I want to catch a concert, I can go. I remember me and Anastasia going on a date, and I called my best friend who loves Frankie Beverly and Mays. It was a concert. Frankie Beverly and Mays was going on in Charlotte. Charlie Wilson was in Greenville. I literally picked up the phone and called my guy, and I was like, look, you've been in both concerts. Grant, he loves Frankie Beverly and Mays, and that's his group. And I said, man, I'm taking Anastasia on a date. We're going on a date. Which one should I do? And just say, which concert do I want to go to, And he said, TJ, do Charlie Wilson. He said, I love Frankie Beverly, but if you take your old lady, do Charlie Wilson. So we had tickets. Hour drive, we was there. We were there. And if I was going to go see Frankie, same thing, hour drive, I was there. So why deal with all those taxes? Why deal with all that traffic when I could be at any of those places but come back home to a peaceful home and don't have to worry about standing at a red light for 20 minutes, Sometimes I get stuff just in this spot where no nose lights change. I'm like, wow, I couldn't do this every day. I'm too fast. I like to be here. I want to go to Bottle and I want to go to Walmart. I can be each one of them and be back at home in 15 minutes. Exactly. If I'm not out there talking, how that goes.
And I want to kind of chime in on this question also, because it's going to lead into our next question. So for me, I always tell people, I'm from Jonesville. We consolidated and we ended up going to Union County, but I always say Jonesville, which is small too, and everybody knows everybody. And this is leading into the next question, because it just reminded me back in last year in December, I went to Atlanta, had a conversation. I did an interview with this lady, Dr. Keisha Hallman. She owns the Village Market. It's just a platform where all these entrepreneurs come together and they sell their merchandise and supporting each other. So I remember talking to her, and she asked me where I was from, and I told her, I'm from Jonesville, South Carolina, and I said it's a small town. She didn't know where it was. So then I said it's right beside Union, South Carolina, and the first thing that she said was, "Oh, is that what Susan Smith is?" So like that's like sometimes when you're out of town, like it's like some people like we have these great memories of Union, but like when you go outside of it, some people that's like the first thing people say is like Susan Smith. So that's kind of leading to my next question. Why do people, you think people have that negative look on Union, and then also why do people also feel like they have to leave here just to become successful? I'll let you start off again.
So I've had the same exact experience where I was trying to describe, where are you from? And I always, even though I was born in Frankfurt, Germany, I always say I'm from Union, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to look something like, where is Union? And it's crazy because it's also Union. Confuse the two. I think a lot of it has to do with, our own stories are not being put out there. The success stories are not being talked about. We have the Trevor Bookers. We have, Kim Booker. We have people. My dad is class of '64, Sam's high school. I mean, the fact that it was an all-black school that produced ambassadors, doctors, lawyers. This is the history right here in Union County, and we don't talk about it enough, and I don't think we promote it enough. So I think that's one of the issues. And, we talked, before the cameras are rolling, we talked a little bit about the competitiveness, and maybe sometimes human nature is to kind of talk about the bad news first instead of talking about the good news. So, I went to Clemson University and got my degree in ceramic engineering. That's a success story. I became a lieutenant colonel. That's a success story. My father, my aunts, I have a plethora of family members that are extremely successful. So having those stories and telling those stories, I think, is important. And what you're doing, having a podcast, I think is critical to start telling those stories and telling the good news instead of the bad news. I think people don't want to come back because they let one or two bad experiences color their entire experience. So it's not always been, fun and games for me here in Union County. There's some bad memories, of course, but it does not color the entire picture. It's just a piece of the larger puzzle, and that puzzle, the whole picture for me, is what brought me back to Union County. So I think that's what you gotta take the good and see that the good outweighs the bad, I think. So encouraging people, you should try Union County. You should come back.
Yeah.
So when I talk to people, I say, why? You should come back to Union County. Bring that skill set back here. And being an advocate for Union, Carlisle, Jonesville, Lockhart, and showing people that living here can be just as good as living anywhere else. If you want to have a family, you want to have a business, you want to connect with people. I've lived in large cities with 10 million people. I didn't know those folks. You don't know your neighbors, you don't know anybody. Here, I go out the door, it's a hey, you get the hand wave. So it's a different vibe, just like you said. It's a different feeling and connection. So I think that's a little bit of it.
I think we talked a little earlier, and like I said, from my experience, I've seen a lot of our own people who have had those negative experiences, and they let those negative experiences define them and define Union for them. And they go, when you're outside Union, you say something negative about your own hometown. If you hear someone saying negative things about their own hometown, what are you gonna think of it? And as you said before, Union hasn't had much of a voice other than the big Susan Smith story. Who gave Union a voice? Who gave the people in Union a voice? Shine light on those things. There's so many things in Union that has happened that didn't get the exposure it needed. It's happened a lot. And like you said, I have family members, I have friends. One in particular lives in Philadelphia, from the South, from Greenwood, but decided to move away. And called, we were on the phone the other day, and I was like, yeah, I'm sitting on the porch with, my kids, and we're just sitting out here. And it's like, sitting on the porch? I can't sit on the porch, I get shot. I'm like, wow, he lives in the heart of Philadelphia, so he's in a rough patch, but, that's how some people have it in certain areas. And I was like, wow, so, that's something we have that a lot of people don't have. We have that little bit of safety and security in our own town, because a lot of us, we have, things that go on, but a lot of us look out for each other. Regardless of your beef or whatever you have with someone, a lot of people in Union look out for each other, black and white. And that's a plus here. And that doesn't, you don't see those things being exposed about Union. You see the negative things being exposed. So
I would like, before you go on to the next, like, for instance, Kiana Brown put together the Black Lives Matter march, and it was a peaceful march. It was a unity march, and it made the news, Fox Carolina News. So we didn't know anything about it initially, Democratic Party and different organizations that I'm involved with, and we kind of put the word out the night before, and everybody showed up. A lot of people showed up for that effort. So these are the type of things we should be talking about and getting that exposure and reiterating those stories about, and these are young folks.
yeah.
I hate to say it, but I'm a little older. So yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, TJ.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right. The question was the negative connotation that people have on Union, right?
Mm-hmm. And then why do people feel like they have to leave, in order to be successful?
Wait, no. Great question, Carlos. First and foremost, I don't believe there's a negative connotation on Union, because there's a lot of people from New York that are moving down here, and they say, oh, this is a wonderful town, right? So outsiders that don't know our history think this place is wonderful, but once you do find out our history, based off who tells it to you, lets you decide if this is a place for you. People often think they should move out of Union, but to be successful, it may be harder. It may be harder because you're leaving, you're leaving behind your resources. We talked about this, you're leaving behind your support. You mentioned, we talked about it earlier about the competitive. Union County, we won several sports championships. We done put a lot of people in professional leagues. We breed competitors here. We breed talent. When COVID happened, we saw so much entrepreneurship just burst. Everybody I gotta think of something to do it. And people did it, As far as the negative feedback on it, I say, there's a certain confidence that I say, I'm from Union. You hear my voice, I'm from Union, I just feel that some people didn't have the same experiences that a lot of us had. Maybe didn't have the same support, and they have a different platform to put that out. But the success stories, like you, until we met, I did not know you were a lieutenant in the
Retired Lieutenant Colonel.
Colonel. That's what I'm saying.
What branch?
I was an Army engineer officer.
Okay.
Right. That's crazy.
And you decided to move back to Union.
Right. When I graduated from St. Augustine's, the St. Augustine's University, home of the Mighty Falcons. I knew that I had an obligation from what I learned outside to bring back home. That was another reason why I just had to come back, and you don't let our talent go away. If our talent always leaves, we will suck year after year after year, and come back home. Yeah.
They want to come back. A lot of them want to come back, but that pride issue comes in. I remember in 1994, I wanted to move to Atlanta, and I did. I went down to Atlanta, and I ended up staying in College Park. And I'll tell you, the first time I got out that night, I walked down the street, and a car pulled up beside me. And they slowed down, they turned around. Yeah. And at that time, I was doing stuff I didn't have business, so I was, I wouldn't always preach, put it like that.
Honestly.
So these guys pulled up beside me, And before I knew it was going bad. So I had to literally run, jump the fence. So like the last Friday we had, the guy had to run, jump the fence and all that. I had to do that. I almost lost my life because they was ready to rob me. Like, what are you doing here in College Park?
Right.
You know, and didn't have those type of things I had to deal with here, you know, and stayed with some family members up north for a little while, and same thing. It was so great up north, but then when Facebook came out, you could really see what's going on, and you could see that, hey, look, I can travel. If I want to take a cruise, I can take a cruise from living in Union, and it's easier to afford because the cost of living is so cheap here. I mean, I love it, you know, and then too, but some people get the negative because of outlets or things we have. We've been in the news a couple of times with some bad light.
Right.
You know, but that's not all of Union. That's not everything that goes in Union. You find it everywhere in every town. You'll find corruption. But what we have to do is highlight the good, appoint the people in these offices that you can trust, and hold them accountable for these offices. You know, people talk about whether they don't like this part of the government or that part, but listen, when we elect county councilmen, their job is to connect what goes on to you. It's not the supervisor's job. His job is just to oversee what he's appointed to oversee. But the elected body, the councilman, should be the one determining what moves he made, and that's who we elect. And if they're not doing it, you know, we give them that chance to do it. And I don't think you need to kick everybody out, but you just need to hold them accountable so we won't be getting all this negative light when it comes to those type of things. But it's going to take the people.
Exactly.
It's going to take the people to, get out of the comfort zone and stop saying what goes on. Go to the courthouse, same people been working there for 50 years. Well, you know what? They're doing elected jobs, you know.
Yes.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just the point that sometimes we had bad experience. I lost both of my best friends, both at a young age. I used to hang with a guy by the name of Donnell. He got killed through violence, and then my friend Robert Smith. My best two friends, they died, but I kept moving, you know, because they would want me to, you know, and I just try to do now what I do in Union now is try to combat some of the violence that goes on, trying to be a good light. So you gotta have a couple of them here last week, and I kind of joked with them. I said, hey, look here, boy, y'all get your hair cut, but don't tell nobody where y'all at. Don't tell nobody you're in my barbershop, because I ain't have nobody go ahead and shoot at y'all. You know what I mean? But see, they take time and I talk to them. I look here, man. Some of the things that y'all do, you don't have to do. You can go start a business and can kind of work yourself. You know, go into heating and air business. You know, I remember when I graduated Spartanburg Tech, I could go buy Freon. I mean, $2 a pound. And then when you ever had Freon put in a unit at your home, see what it costs. Yeah. So that's profit, you know. So it's things that you can do and make a good living here. You know, I had to weigh my options. You're gonna keep doing bad things, or you're gonna do what's right. So I started selling haircuts. Yeah. That's how I made my living.
And you bootstrap that business, like you use your own money that you made and generated and started that business.
Here in Union, now I'm
bootstrapping.
Yeah.
And can I just say that from my experience, I've realized a lot of the negative light on Union or the negative thoughts, it starts with younger people. Like, I can say, when I got out of school, out of high school, I was told, get out of Union. You know what I mean? I was told, if you want to have something or to make something of yourself, get out of Union. There's nothing here. And so, when that's put in your head, when you're young, you know, that sticks with you. And that's where and when you leave here, that's stuck with you. So that's all you know of Union, because you haven't been back. You know, so you sit there and you have a lot of people out of town like, Union, this little old dusty town, you don't got nothing there, it's boring, you don't got nothing to do, blah, blah, blah. And then you also have the people who, Union's messy, or everybody's in your business, or this, you know, and those things happen everywhere. You know, it happens in every county, every town. You have a know-it-all, you have a nosy person, you have a person who loves to start things, you have a negative person, you know, you have that in every town.
Well, you look at the soap operas, why do you think they've been in success so long as in negative? You look at the show Big Brother, people watch that. You look at Real Housewives of Atlanta. Anything, people don't sell. And I remember when I was tech school, the first thing they told me, when you go out there and you do a positive job, they may tell 2 people. But if you go out there and you mess something up, and they gonna call 5. They call them cheerleaders. So that just goes with anything. But for drama, people think that it just happens here in Union, but you think Channel 7 shows Big Brother show, you think it just shows in Union. People knows it everywhere you go, and people always want to know. People thrive off somebody else's misery or somebody else's pain. So if I feel like I can talk about you to make me look better,
Right.
that's what they're doing. And 2 things I learned, and another thing is that people hate in you what they don't see or like with themselves. So when you are targeted or when you're hated, it's for a reason. They like you. They like something about you that they don't have. And so that's why they hate you without even knowing you. And you get a lot of that reunion. And for us, they telling people you need to leave. You know, if I wanted to have the only barbershop, guess what I tell anybody who want to be a barber? You need to get out of here. Well, I cut everybody's hair, but you can't do that. I can't cut everybody's hair. I'm too busy now. You know, I don't want to cut everybody's hair. You know, but they're just, people would tell people that to get away the competition.
Of course.
So when it's a job open at the school, guess what? You left Union, you can't have it.
No.
And then your children, your grandchildren gonna get overlooked because you're not there to help look after them. We need you here, especially when you're a school teacher, a doctor. I'm looking for a good doctor that lives here in my hometown that will generally care about me and my family. I wish one of my buddies or one of my cousins became a doctor or a dentist so I could go and support them because I know they care about me genuinely. I'm not just a statistic to them. So people get that, you know, they make that common mistake all the time by running.
So what do y'all think this mentality came from to saying to where you have to get out to be successful? Like, do you think it, of course, we all say it starts at home, or is it school, or what do you think this mentality came from?
Definitely the people who had the power. If you have power, you will run everybody else away. Anybody who thought, people who had and owned all the profits, the people who had all the plants, people who, the powers that be, they will run everybody else away. That's competition. You know, a threat, you get rid of a threat. You know, so that's where it will come, especially, we know some people got the short end of the stick. You know, I grew up in high school here in Union, and a lot of my teachers didn't look like me. Why? Because the people who were qualified were left.
Right.
And why did they leave? They didn't want to share those jobs.
Right.
But guess who? What? I have people, generational teachers. Now their children are teachers. Now they're teaching my children. You know, but it was just when it comes to us as a people, and I hate to say it, we was the ones that were told you need to get out. Everybody else, you had a man just move from a different state to come here and take the job being the supervisor. So Union's a great place to work. Or you got the county superintendent, you know, I mean not the superintendent, but the school superintendent. You know, those are great jobs for qualified people. So if you qualify, when those positions come up, you elect people that's gonna make sure they keep some of these people who have ties to you, make sure that they're, you know, elected and they're hired. So that's the problem.
You're so right. I think you had something that you want to chime in on that, the mindset.
I did have something.
Go ahead, ladies
Just,
first.
just, you know, some of it I think is cultural in the way we think about things in the United States as far as how we define success. So, you know, if you're told, well, you need to go to college, you need to do, you know, get married, have, you know, 2.5 children, you know, that it's the American dream and all these different things and boxes that you're supposed to check. A lot of people buy into it as far as what success is. And some of those things cannot be found here, or at least they believe that it can't be found here. So people leave. And if they do find those things somewhere else, they may decide, well, I got it good, I checked all my boxes, there's no need for me to come back to Union, South Carolina. So there's that piece too, and I think that, you know, the fact that Union County is trying to do stuff with like USC Union, having a
I love that.
4-year nursing program. You know, it's a big loss that, you know, Dr. Catalano, I didn't get to meet him, but it's going to be departing. Because, you know, he brought a lot of that energy to Union County to expand those programs here. And I don't know personally, but, you know, one thing I did, and I encourage anybody who doesn't live in Union County to, like and favor, favor the Chamber of Commerce, to check out the Union County Economic Development Board. Make sure you're watching the Union County council meetings, the city council meetings, because we're in this pandemic. They're live streaming all of these meetings. So there's no reason not to participate. And I'm going to say they probably need to continue to do this even after the pandemic.
Right.
So if you want to get involved, you want to get engaged and see what's going on and what decisions are being made, tune in.
It's open to the public, right?
Tune in. It's public.
And when are
there's
those
something.
meetings?
So
Every Tuesday?
We'll post those to Union's Time We Talk, so people know. Tuesdays, I don't know off the top of my head. I checked on my
First
calendar.
Tuesday of the month, I think it is.
I think so. I don't want to give misinformation,
Yeah.
so we'll post it on the site for sure. And there's just a lot of clubs, organizations, the churches that are involved. You have food giveaways. So there's a lot of good stuff that's going on in Union County.
Right.
And unfortunately, our outlets are Union County News, Union Daily Times,
Right.
WBCU. You mentioned that before about the
Yeah,
radio.
yeah.
So how do we, expand that audience
That's the
to
point.
tell the good stuff that's going on? So, one of the things that I took up as a charge as the chair for the Democratic Party was to highlight minority businesses on our page. So that's why we're going and doing, get out the voter registration for anyone that invites us to come out. And we register everybody to vote. We want you to be a Democrat, of course, or independent, but there might be some reluctant Republicans who have decided, this isn't for me anymore, I'm going to register to vote. But it's important to be part of that civic process. And I know we're going to get into that in a future episode, but I think these are all the things that will pull people back to participate in the union. Find something to get involved in. If you're talking about there's nothing to do, there's plenty of work to do.
Where do that come from when people say there's nothing to do? I think they think that if it's not a club or a party or something, there's nothing to do. Plenty of things to do. We want to talk on that a little bit.
You know what? There's plenty to do. So, we are encouraging people to get involved civically. So you don't have to get involved with the Democratic Party. You can get involved with any organization. The NAACP has an older group of people. They're looking for young members, young membership. That's a possibility if that's what you want to do. Or form your own coalition, form your own group. There's nothing, you talked about it before, there's nothing stopping you from establishing your own organization, your own group of people to make a change and make a difference in Union County. And on the social side, we used to back in the day in Carlisle, we'd skate on the blacktop down there. I don't know, but I remember going skating on the blacktop. A skate club, a run club.
I was talking about the road bounce like skate club. Matter of fact, Union County skate center could love that to have kids go out there and just do skate competitions and stuff. They would love to need that.
Elevate that. Get involved with the tourism commission. Curtis Hunter, she's the director. There are things that can be done. Check out all the historical monuments and sites out here. Not all the monuments per se, not all of them. But there's a lot of history here in County. The Elderly Law Resource Center is the first and only African American community hospital in the county. That's where people went to. And Dr. Long service. And my mom told me
Howard graduate.
that it was a teaching hospital. So they had doctors coming from all over the world, all over the country to learn under Dr. Long. And my mom told me, she said, I took you to Dr. Long when you were back. I said, what? I didn't know that. So that tells you how old I am. But there's plenty to do. And you know what? Ask Carlos, what is there to do? Ask Anastasia, what is there to do in Union County? And we give you a laundry list of things to get involved in and do. So, don't let it be a naysayer type thing and that negativity riding your spirit.
I told you a little while back that I like to hunt. It's kind of, especially in guys, I don't know about females, I only speak for guys, but we kind of got that nature of wanting to kill. So if you don't get involved in maybe like hunting, or target shooting. So now you got kids out there want to shoot each other because they never got that. But I got that as a child, so I never had the idea of wanting to shoot somebody because I go out there and kill a deer and eat them up. You know, that's what I'm gonna do. And so I thought maybe somebody need to start maybe a paintball coalition for kids. And, you know, we got all this real estate is land. Somebody start a paintball organization for these little young kids to go out there and kind of get a little feel of going out and hunting and having fun, or even an airsoft, airsoft gun. That'd be fun.
They're also learning teamwork, they're learning
teamwork,
strategy, they're learning leadership, they're learning all these things by involving.
And learning how to handle weapons where you want. I almost lost my life playing with a gun, a pistol, because my parents would always tell me, you don't touch pistols. And guess what happened when I finally picked one up? I didn't, like she said, for us learning, picking back up what she said, I almost shot my leg off. I could have died for the fact of playing with a gun because I was not knowledgeable of that weapon. So, but until I learned, so I teach my children in case they came across how to handle that. So it's all kind of things you do. You had the rifle team here in Union.
We did.
I think we still have the rifle team.
Still have the rifle team.
And never get rid of these kids from wanting to go out there and shoot each other all the time. You know, people don't expose them to that.
I tell you, you know, what I like to do in Union is entrepreneurship. You know, it is really, really, really fun, guys. You know, a lot of people like the game, right? We was pitching around that idea about, you know, doing some type of game thing. You know, we did a couple of Xboxes, PS4s, and that's
PS5 too.
All that. You know, really and truly, Union County, like I said, guys, is a place to brainstorm. What do you want to do? Tell us. Create.
Tell us.
What do you want to do? I mean, if you get a team of people together that have a common goal, and you form a nonprofit, right? You can get funded, and you can start implementing these things into the community. It is really, you know, going that simple. You know, be about action and let's talk. You know. You know, we got a skating ring, we got a YMCA that has a pool.
Do a swim team. Teach kids how to swim.
Yeah, we don't compete swimming wise here. You know, we can do that. That'll be something.
And I could use that too, you know, for the, and you said you said a non-profit, but listen, you think about starting a business, it don't have to be a non-profit.
No, you don't.
You can start that off, you know, that maybe the PS5 is about to come out.
Yep. A
lot of people not gonna afford it. No, I'm not gonna buy one. Buy you about 5 of them and let those kids go in there and play. And when they cut up, my thing is if they cut up or if they do something they shouldn't do, you get one warning, you do it again, now you're not involved. You can't go to the skating rink. So guess what's gonna happen? I don't wanna lose my card, I wanna go to the skating rink. We're gonna have a party out there, we're gonna have a competition. We're gonna competition to skate.
You're so right. You're so right. I guess there's so much opportunity.
I would like to shout out food trucks.
Food trucks, I love to eat. You must be too. You love to eat.
We don't have any.
What's so good about food truck? I love food truck.
I love a good food truck. And you know, it seems like it's a city thing, you know, but it really isn't a city thing. You can have a food truck anywhere. And talk about entrepreneurship and we have some great cooks in Union County, people that can burn. If you could, and people will help you out, you know, and a lot of
support
people, capital, you know, you need money to invest, you need the vehicle, you need the equipment, so can I just shout out some people that are watching us here? We got J. Rock Smith. He said, okay, thanks, Education, Ernestine Rice.
J. Rock's actually going to be, we actually thought about bringing him in because J. Rock does, I contacted him, he does go around, and I want to thank him, he goes around looking for local business. He was shouting out the farmers market up there the other day.
That I was about
That's something to go to the farmers market, you know.
Because they do not only food, they do crafts. So if you have a skill set, get your booth, get your table, go out there.
Eyelashes, ladies, you like
Who do you go see about that for us, the food truck, in case somebody out there, I mean not the food truck, but
for the farmers market.
The farmers market.
So Elise Ashby is one of the point of contacts for the farmers market. But if you go there, they're open Monday through Saturday from 7:30 to noon at the YMCA that Lakeside Drive. It's 106 Lakeside Drive. Go there, talk to Elise Ashby. You know what? If you're wondering about it, you can hit us up on It's Time to Talk, and we'll make sure you get connected to the right person, the right people. Appreciate this forum because now this is another way for people to connect. And we haven't talked about the whole network.
We just at the tip of the iceberg of what we bringing to you guys.
Yes. Somebody said food yes. You
What
know,
about what I wanted to ask the chamber?
WU, he said, food trucks, yes.
Oh, Miss Hewitt. Hey,
Miss Hewitt,
How you doing?
Miss Hewitt was actually
Hey.
the one who got me started to professionally mentor. Miss Hewitt did that.
Yeah.
You know, it was something to do. People said it got nothing to do.
Miss
I
Hewitt
could go
taught me in
ahead.
school.
Yeah, she actually led me to become officially a mentor, so I could go into the schools. So you do that.
Mentorship.
Mentorship.
Yes, that is
When you say what it is,
something-
when you say there's nothing to do, it's so much to do. You just been looking at the wrong avenue.
And there's a mentorship needed, young boys and girls.
Yes.
That is
Yeah.
very much so needed in our community. If you can get them on the right path, then the next generation could be where it needs to be. You know, it starts with the youth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know-
I remember in I don't know about you, Alex, but I remember in middle school we had the what was
Tiger
it?
Tongue?
It was the Miles Keenan had the thing where he got the kids together.
Was it a field day? It's
Um,
almost.
he got a lot of
It was a
kids
drill
together.
team.
I think it was a drill team.
I was on that drill team. I was on that drill team.
It was something to do, you know, you got a lot of us together and we did different things, you know. Sometimes that's needed. At USC Union, there was, what was the program you was in it?
OSP.
OSP.
It was, I fell in that program because my mother and father didn't graduate college, so
But
it
that
kind of helped
program
me.
was
It was
something
great.
that gave you something to do.
It
It
did.
educated you, it took you places you never been, it showed you things you never knew, showed you how to do an interview, how to buy clothes for it, you know,
Yeah.
what type of tie to wear. Like, we need
Yeah.
that mentorship with children.
What they don't teach you in school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what they don't.
And see, like when I grew up, we had to write in cursive. Every paper that I did had to be in cursive. So when I started going to USC, I ended up going to USC Union, and I asked them to write a great paper, but then they would tell me, now you gotta type it. I'm like, when I went to high school, we only took typing up 6 weeks. We couldn't type, you know. Then they told us that you're not gonna be a secretary. You don't need to type. She's gonna do all that work. So then now, when you see now I'm texting. Even to this day, so that's why you got these smart people up here. You put a computer me. It take me a month to write a paper from doing that, but you need that. And then speaking on that on a serious note, you know, 9 out of 10 kids end up going to prison because they don't graduate high school, and 9 out of 10 that don't graduate high school because they didn't have a positive role model in their life.
Yeah, and I think that there definitely have to be male role models for male kids.
Yeah.
And you know, just like women, for young women. And each can provide something different, but having that, someone that looks like you, thinks
Yeah.
like you,
Absolutely.
and can show you the aspiration,
Yeah.
you know, I can do this. I didn't think I could do this.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that's, I think, you know, Patty even talks about, she said that's what we need more of mentoring. Having someone, and maybe that's the challenge for all of us, we probably already have someone that we mentor, but challenging people to mentor just one young person. Everybody in our community has a positive influence. Mentor one young person from you know, the Army has something that they call Soldier for Life. So once you become a soldier, from the beginning to when you retire to whatever, you are in a pipeline for support. And that's what we gotta think, I think we gotta get to for mentoring. So it's not just to get you to college, it's after college. It's to your business.
College stuff
It's
for
to your,
everybody.
right. It's, you know, I wanna become a business person, entrepreneur. I don't wanna go to college. I wanna do something different. Showing people that path, showing people the way, how to get there. And I think that's where we can lend ourselves as far as coming back to like TJ.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I actually use TJ's Avenue, guys. You know, TJ is the chairman for the Union County Little League, correct? And I saw that as an opportunity to get in and buy a team. Unfortunately, COVID happened, and we didn't get to have a season this year. But I was going to be more than a sponsor. To
I
this
still have
channel.
my towel from the towels.
I still have it in my hand. I love it.
Right.
And then for those who rested this year, and we did not have a season, but if they didn't get a refund, which we encourage not to, because next year they'll be able to play and it's already paid for. Even if the price has to go up, so don't think, well, you literally kept the money or something like that. No, we did not. Matter of fact, everybody who's on that board are volunteer. Most of us pay our own pockets to help fund that league. The cameraman is actually helps do that. So for those who out there saying what happened,
Right.
for us Little League last year, if you register with us, you get to come back next year, and it's already, if you paid, we have record we paying, and you automatically. But that was something to do, you know, giving the kids the opportunity to get out there and do it. It led you to where you could sell your merchandise.
Yeah.
I'm always about networking, trying to get through that.
Before we run out of time, I have one more question. We came up with all these great solutions, and which I think a lot of people would appreciate that. But my final question before we get out of here, like I said, before we can get all the way to the finish line, our destination, where we want to be, my final question, and I'll let anybody lead off. What's the first step to getting the ball rolling?
Great question. Great question.
Yeah.
I think step one is just recognizing and being self-aware of what we actually have in this town. If you guys go look on the Union This Town We Talk page, and there's a video that I found on YouTube from 2013, and the way they shot the video doesn't look like Union County. I was like, wow, it's amazing. Like, and it's 2020 now. How much have we grown since then? Can we get a new shot, right? So it's just really understanding the value of what you have here in Union County, and it's tremendous. It's tremendous value, you know. So that's my proposal: self-awareness of us as a county. Yeah.
I think a lot of it is shining light on the resources we have here. It's a lot of things in Union people don't know about. Yeah, they put it out in papers or, you know, on the radio, different things like that. But sometimes you really have to go out there and put it in their face. Because everybody is not listening to the radio, everybody's not reading the paper. A lot of people find information on Facebook. You know, that's how a lot of people get it, social media, especially young people. Make it available, you know, and people who have a voice in Union, you make those positive resources available. You shine light on it. If you have a platform in Union, help others. Shine light on these resources we have. Chamber of Commerce, a lot of businesses don't know about.
I think, like me, I never did my ribbon cutting because I never even knew about it. And my wife would tell me, oh, I followed the page. I'm like, wow, I wish I was waiting on my ribbon cutting, didn't know where to go to do that. And so because of COVID, I didn't get to have it. So hopefully we can do a ribbon cutting again, because now it's going to be, since it's sponsored by that, it's going to be TJ Hills and Hers barbershop. So if you get your dress or anything done, or female styles, I have a lady that does that.
Nice.
So we want to shout out her and welcome her to the team. Her name is T. Crank. And just the first of many of trying to, you know, it's something that we can try to bring about. But to answer your question on how we can do this, is make an outlet. So you contact us if you got something you want to put on the show. Even like the library, you know how much fun you can have taking your kids to the library, and it's free.
It's so nice.
It's free. You take there and you use those resources. Anything else?
Right. I think step one is what we're doing right now.
Yes.
You know, Union is time to talk. So I was very excited. I wasn't sure. I said, okay, podcast, and I'm like, what's this gonna look like? You know, like I said, you had those negative thoughts. You know, I'm guilty, and I crossed the line. I started doing my research, and I was like, okay, so we're about to set this up. And I didn't know Carlos was a boss. I know Carlos from way back then, and I said, I'm excited. And I think this is the first step. And I think we had already agreed that this is just season one. So this is the first step. Season two, you know, we keep coming back. We keep being a voice. We switch it up with the panel. We have people that come here and contribute and get a voice that maybe never had a voice. So I'm excited to keep this going. So I think this is step one.
And that being said, I want you to notice something that really stood out to me. It didn't say it's time I talk, you talk. It said it's time we. It's time we talk. Talking about Union County, we have to talk. So it's not us, we telling you what needs to be said. We got great resources out there. Our runway with the airport. I'm glad to see that expanding. That expanding is like the step that we missed when we didn't allow 26 to come through Union, but that airport is going to open up resources that we get these companies in here, and hopefully we can get this ball rolling.
Invest in Union. Invest in Union.
Yes.
And-
Talent come back.
Yes.
I think another thing that what a step that's needed is that union needs to speak up. If you feel like you have ideas, if you have resources, if you have things that can help others in the communities, it's your time to talk.
Yeah, you help us on
You
the
know,
show. Yeah.
Comment, message us. If you feel you could come on the show and benefit Union and the citizens of Union, do that. You know, it's time for Union to get together and make us better together. You know?
United. Union is actually united. United.
It
You
is.
said
That's our name.
Strong.
and we're gonna ride off that.
Yeah.
So as we wrap this up, I want to thank everybody here at the table tonight. I appreciate everybody. I enjoyed just sitting back and listening to y'all and how passionate y'all were. I know y'all at first y'all worried about how the conversation was going. And TJ, you just once you got into it, you forgot all about the cameras. But I really enjoyed this conversation. Like I said, this platform is to educate and for us to be educated as well. It's not about negativity and finger pointing. I think that's been part of the problem that's going on in the world today. It's a lot of blaming people instead of coming up with a solution. So this is about working together to create a solution and bettering ourselves and our community. So I want to thank everybody again. Thank everybody who tuned in. You will be able to check this out. If you miss it live right now, you'll be able to check this interview, this platform out on SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora Radio, and on YouTube as well. So you'll be able to check it out. And also on my website, carlosksmith.com. So once again, thank you to TJ's Barbershop for sponsoring this episode. And this is Union. It's time we talk. Until next time, keep chasing dreams, and thank you guys for tuning in.